Operation Wig.
All right, so this week is all going to be about week 8, PowerShell Active Directory, right? This is not due until Friday after. All right, so Facebook first, Active Directory, then playing Space Invaders. And hopefully you guys are okay with ending the class on a video game. I mean, I figure it's a whole lot more fun than learning how to do other stuff because, I mean, hey, there it is. All right, so Windows PowerShell Active Directory. So this one's going to be actually a really minimal project for you guys because there's not a whole lot here. It's mostly going to be tooling around. When I did this, I did everything on Windows Server 2008 R2. All right, so everything here works on Windows Server 2008 R2. So you'll need Active Directory running up and configured. Let's try to get to here while I'm here, unless someone else wants to help someone get set up an Active Directory for stalling issues with DNS. You need to have Windows PowerShell. A Windows PowerShell address directory is right here, so you guys can see all the things you can do in Windows PowerShell with Active Directory. And we're just going to cover a couple of the things that you would normally do on a given day. And then a couple of users in Active Directory that we can manipulate. So we're going to play around with a couple of people. All right? So when you set it up, you just go ahead, you set up Active Directory like you would at any other time. And again, if we're having problems with this, let's get this part knocked out today while I'm here. And other than that, it would be Wim, our trusty assistant, who would be helping you. All right? So again, you just set it up. One of the cool things, though, is if you click on the AD PowerShell tool link that's going to show up, you're actually going to see an Active Directory module for PowerShell resources at the bottom of that screen. Right? So this is a really handy link if you forget stuff. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. So you can actually address it right off the bat. And yeah, I kind of underlined it and circled it with my... The one that's underlined. Trying to make it. And this is what it looks like just in case, so you've got it. Right? So you can kind of read through the changes that they made and all the other things. So it's really kind of cool. And yes, I know that I did this in Internet Explorer. Twitch. Yep. No, but it was what I had. We all have stuff. All right. So you remember to run DC promo to get the thing up and running. Right? Then you run through it. You go in your case, your Active Directory should be on your own. If you just use, like, I just used instructor.highline.edu, and there's no domain named instructor.highline.edu, so I was really lucky. Domain functional matter issue doesn't matter, not in this case, because again, you're really just going to make an isolated Active Directory so you can do things. DNS and all the features for the AD process, unless you're the DNS Antichrist. Then we'll need to work on that some more. And then run Active Directory users and computers, because that's really where we're going to be. And if you don't remember how to get there, start administrative tools, Active Directory users and computers. Right? Just in case you don't remember, or you have never done it before. So make sure the AD works. This is where you want to be. So you kind of want to see your domain, and then you want to go to users, and you should see all the inbuilt users. You should see yourself and a couple of other people, a guest user, which is always fun. All right. Then you want to make a couple of users in AD, right? So just make a couple of users. So I made Jane Frost and Monkey Person. All right, Jane Frost and Monkey Person. Just because I really wanted something to remember that was really, really easy. Monkeys. I have this thing about flying monkeys. We all know this. It's a... Yep. All right. Now, when you install Active Directory and you install it correctly, you should see in your main screen Active Directory module for PowerShell. And this is mostly where we're going to be working in. Right? So it will make your life tons easier if you just have access to this. That way you don't have to look anything up. It just goes right there and boom, you're into the whole process. Right? To verify it works, right? To make sure that you have all the things. When you open it up, just do a get module -sign list. Right? So you can see all the Active Directory modules that are in there already. So you can actually see what new modules have been imported into your PowerShell. Right? Kind of makes it interesting. So remember, get module -sign list gives you what? It gives you all the list of modules that are in there. Woohoo! All right. Now we want to check out a user, right? So we want to do get AD user Jack Frost. So we need to use their login name, not necessarily the full name. You just need to have their login alias, right? And what it will do is you say get add user Jack Frost. What it will do is you'll cop up everything that it knows about Jack Frost. All right, so whatever user you make, this is everything it knows about it. And if you just made really minimal users, then your list is really, really short.
I was going to say, can you edit users through the command line as well?
Yes, yeah, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Now, one of the things I thought was really interesting is it coughs up the user SID. So those are like really, really handy at times. Right? User SIDs are cool because it points to the location in the Security Access Manager database that's underneath the system, Windows 32, blah, 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 blah. SID is a subject identifier. It's a unique identifier for every object in the system. Once you know a SID, you know what you're dealing with. All right. You can disable an account or enable account. So we can go ahead and we can disable Jack Frost. So disable -AD account Jack Frost. And that kills him. He's dead. Stone dead. Can't do anything with it. Can't log in. Can't make bacon. Doesn't know how to do orange juice. He's useless. So when we're done, we kind of need to enable him. So it's enable -AD account and Jack Frost, and then he's up and running back exactly where he was without a password change. So if you need to disable someone for a little bit because you have to do an investigation on them, just disable them for a little bit. Let them call the help desk while you're off doing your thing, and then enable them later on. So kind of a neat forensics kind of way of looking at things. Excuse me. All right. Now, when you're interacting, what you can do is if you want to go straight into and actually interact with the AD, you need to go from PowerShell to PowerShell Active Directory. To do that, you just type in SL AD, and it will take you to this command prompt. If you see this command prompt, that's really, really good. Now, one of the things I discovered yesterday is that there's a shortcut notation within PowerShell that I didn't notice before. SL actually means set location. So there's already some macros in there for some of the cool stuff you can do. So if you see someone using SL, that means they're using something called set location. And I want you to go to a specific location in the PowerShell map. So I thought that was really kind of a cool thing. So you could also type set location, set -location AD, and it would do the same thing. So it depends on if you want to use the macro or not. So it's kind of a neat, handy shortcut.
Is there the equivalent of a man page or a question mark or a,
Get help.
Get help?
Get -help.
Will say like set location, get help?
Yep. So it would be set -location space get -help, and it will give you everything in this big, huge. Yeah. And it's really a mess, but it's there if you want it. Come back to me on that one. We'll roll back around on that one. All right. So if you type in dir while you're there, right, while you're in dir, you'll see the instructor configuration schema, domain DNS zones, and forest DNS zones. So you'll see all this stuff, and you'll see it by its distinguished name. And what ends up happening when you're running around in here, you actually have to do everything by its FDQN, its fully qualified domain name. So, set location. What you want to do is you want to enter your Active Directory. So you would do a set -location, or SL. DC equals your fully qualified domain name, right? And then you should be able to see that you're here with your command prompt. You do this command, and then your command prompt stretches all the way across the screen. But it tells you exactly where you are in Active Directory, which is good. All right, then verify by entering dir, and it will show you everything that's part of that domain. All right? Again, this is not going to be a really hard exercise for week 8. Yes, sir? Okay, I'll fix it. All right. Nope, these are good. All right. So we'll show you that we have a user out of place, right? That we have another user out of place, that we have a container for users. But somehow the users SkyApe and Jack Frost ended up kind of floating out there as users, but they're not in the right bucket. SkyApe is a really good comic book. All right. Set your location to CN users, do a dir, and you'll see all the users that are part of this, either by user or by group. All right, so again, fairly straightforward. You just kind of move through it like you would move through a regular system. Instead of CD, it's set location. All right?
CN stands for?
Container name. So CN, container name, is users. So inside the container users, I have all these people.
And how do you move them about?
We'll get there. All right. Now, you can map your Active Directory as a drive by using the new ps drive command. Right? So if you don't want to go through all this SLAD, set location into this and all the rest of it, you can actually map it out as a drive. So you can do new PS drive, name, the instructor, the PS provider Active Directory from root AD, just go straight to here. And what you'll do is you'll see a mapping then that will actually go ahead and set it up so that all you have to do is CD into instructor and you end up inside of the Active Directory root.
So you CD, don't set location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you map it as a new PS drive, it's CD.
Okay.
But it kind of makes it a little bit easier to tool around in there, because then you can make a bunch of shortcuts as drives that will look like in your regular drive mapping. Mm-hmm. So if you remember from week 1 when we typed in PS drive and you saw all those other drives you could just CD into, you can actually make your root user container its own drive as far as PowerShell is concerned. So that's kind of a neat shortcut. If you don't want to type all this stuff to get there, you just map it as a new drive and call it good. Which I thought was kind of interesting. And if you get an item, right, if you want to get properties for this SAM account name for everybody that's inside that container, right, so what we did is we pulled up the container users as part of instructor Highline EDU, and we wanted the property of all the account names, all right, Security Access Manager account names, and this will cough out everybody that works in here and how it works. So kind of a neat way of finding out who all's in a particular container. So get item is another really good command. And then you can also use wildcards, which I thought was really nice. So if you just want to do properties for everybody that's in there, you just wildcard it. And you can figure out, and it will just drop the whole list, and then you can export that as a CSV, however you want to do it. All right? Export as an HTML page, shove it on the internet. Life is wonderful. Security-wise, not so much, but that's the rest of it. But it really does. It coughs out a lot of information about who's who, when they were made, all the rest of it. So kind of a neat trick. All right. So there's a script to debug in here, and this is your objective, is to debug this script to add users, right? You've got a couple of users that you can play around with. So what it does is you basically import the module Active Directory, so make sure the Active Directory is loaded, right? And then for each user, you want to import off of CSV something called myusers.csv, so you'll need to make that. All right. So for each user in users, they have an OU, an organizational unit of department they belong to. So like I belong to the CIS department. All right. You guys belong to the CIS department. So your OU could be CIS, but you can leave these intact if you want to. Your domain, though, should be your name, highline.edu. All right. So you kind of want to organize this a little bit. All right. Detailed name, first last name, Dan Morrow, Sky Ape, Jack Frost, all that kind of good stuff. First name, last name, user first name, right, as part of the SAM account. User principal, SAM, mydomain.com, so it would be Jack Frost at instructor.highline.edu. Right, so you figure out what you need to put into the CSV table by reading the code. So it's kind of a neat way. You're working in a spreadsheet right now. And so you're going to have a OU, detailed first name, first letter of last name, SAM account, which is their user first name, right? User principal, SAM at their email address, all right? Logon script, if they have a login script, you can leave this blank. So if you want to pop up consent to monitoring, you can put that in there. Hold on until I'm done, all right? Homedir, if they've got one, or if it doesn't work, they may have actually a Homedir that you have to actually do directly. So there's two ways of doing this. If this fails, it will go to here. All right. New AD user, then start putting in there. Then you start doing all the rest of this. It says the password never expires to true, which is bad. All right. So how would we fix that? Yep, exactly. You set it to false if you don't want their password. If you want their password to expire, right? And then you can also change it to the password as blank if you want it to be, but I didn't do that. Right? So this is the script you're going to be working with. And what you're going to do is you're going to cough out a spreadsheet that has all these little odds and sods in it, right? So the script on the preceding page requires a CSV of usernames and what places they exist. Right? That's your first product for week 8. Then look at how the script could be set up to show in the CSV file. So you have detailed name, first letter, SAM, etc. Right? Build a CSV with those headers and enter a couple of entries, and then attempt to import. The import may not work, right? Especially if we don't have what? Set what policy to what? Set execution policy to unrestricted. Very good. Very good. All right. And if you can, try to screen cap your users in your Active Directory. So I would get the spreadsheet, and I would get the screen cap of a successful import. So that, if you can. All right, because I'm asking you to do something a little bit more complex here, and you guys don't program in .NET, and I know that, and I'm good with that. All right? This is why week 9 is going to be so much more interesting. But that's basically what you need to do. I'm really going to be looking at your CSV file to make sure that you guys are able to read the title headings in the code. All right? So what I'm really going to be looking for is a CSV with a couple of people in here that matches all this stuff out. Right? Because remember, all these are variables, just like you did in Linux scripting. If it's a variable, it's something to declare. If we've declared it, then it has to have an object in there. All right? So each one of these things preceded by a $sign is really what's going to be in your CSV file. And then this is your operational code. And then this user Princey matches that user Princey. All right? So you want to make sure that you don't double up on, that you point back to it in the spreadsheet. So it kind of makes sense that this is what I'm looking for. And if you are successful and you can get it to actually go in, that's cool. I want you to at least attempt to do the import. Right? It will either work or it won't work. It's a black and white issue. All right? If you're running out of time on Friday the 31st, just send me your spreadsheet. And I'm good with that. Now the fun part is what comes after. Yes, ma'am, you had a question. Yes, we were setting the variables.
And so I don't know if you spoke or you just talking in general on the fourth line you said last name.
One, two, three.
Fourth line down from
Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. First letter, first name equals first name substring.
Okay. No, you said last name, so I'm just
Okay.
as
Yep.
that was supposed to be
Another clarifying question on logon script.
Mhm.
Below that equals logon script.ps.
Yeah, you can just leave that straight.
And but so that is a pop-up. It's not a script to log the user in.
No, it's a pop-up. It's either a warning or something else. You don't have to create it. You just need to be able to point to something that's like a consent to monitoring, right?
Also, if you set up your fully qualified domain name before you publish that it needed to be
Then just use what you got.
okay.
Use what you got. If you're already up and running, just use what you got, and I'm fine with that. All right? So it kind of makes sense? Anybody got any questions? Are we good? All right. Now there's one other thing I kind of want to bring up before we really get going, right, into this. I want to kind of bring up week 9. So I've been trying to figure out a way to make this, the last week of this class, a lot of fun. So the last week of the class, we're going to do a little bit of ASCII art, and we're going to make Space Invaders game. All right? So if you get done with Facebook and you get done with Active Directory, start looking at the code that's in here, right? And look at the PowerPoint, kind of walk you through a little bit of it, right? We'll do more when I come back, okay? But I want to make sure you guys know that week 9 is available to you if you want to go make some really gorgeous ASCII art, or you want to just play Space Invaders on your computer, right? Either way, I'm good with it. They do. They do. But I just want you guys to know that that's there. So if you whip through everything and you get all this stuff done, there's more to do. But this will be your last project. All right? The Space Invaders game and the ASCII art, the last thing to do in this class. And I'll be looking for your Space Invaders game on June 10th. Yes, sir. The ASCII art's really easy. Yeah, the Space Invaders game is actually kind of fun. And you know, I might as well take advantage of the fact that you're working on a Windows box and got some really cool graphics, and we can do graphics in PowerShell in ways that we can't do in Linux scripting. So I decided to have fun with the last week. Hopefully no one minds. Does anybody have any objections to having fun?
No.
Are you sure? You do? Okay. Are you sure? I mean, I can give you something like backing up users out of Active Directory if you want. Okay. All right. So that's basically how the rest of the class goes, right? And you carry on and you'll carry through in your own speed and at your own pace, and I'm good with that. How many people have Active Directory up and running and good to go? All right. How many people need help with Active Directory and getting it up and running and more stuff? Because between me and Wim, I want to try to get you guys all up and running by the end of today, so you've got it. All right. So it kind of makes sense.
I can address any DNS issues.
All right. What you got? We're on camera. What you got? Okay. Well, I'll come over and help you in a minute. All right. So this is your video. This is what we got. When I come back, we'll go through and we'll actually go through the code of the video game so you guys can see how this thing works and get it running.